Thank you all for coming. Here today to talk about 3 key truths to help us in our personal growth and progress in life. While each of us has a unique personality, we all have a great deal in common. There really are patterns in personality and personality types. Although we all have a core type, we can develop ourselves and we can turn our weaknesses into strengths. We can all learn from our experiences, or from what they call the school of hard knocks, but no one really wants to learn this way. We can save ourselves a lot of suffering by creating a self-directed personal growth plan. How many of you have ever taken a personality test, by raise of hands? Yeah. You find all kinds of personality tests out there. Maybe you found one on Facebook. A lot of them maybe just for amusement, just silly stuff. But there are some that are really reliable, that can be life-changing. Some of the ones that are really reliable out there are the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator with 16 types, the Kersey Temperament Sorter, the Big 5 Factor Model, and there's others too. How many of you have heard of the color code? Yeah. The color code is a very simple and useful type indicator that I'm going to explain some of the basic 4 types in this personality test. Just narrows it down to 4 simple types, and everyone has at least one of these colors, or possibly 2. So, first are reds, the power wielders. Reds are very focused on achievement, and maybe it can be a little bit insensitive sometimes. Yellows are focused on having fun, enjoying their lives, being happy, but they can be kind of irresponsible. Blues, very nurturing and caring, but they're hard on themselves and they can get very depressed. Whites are relaxed and easygoing, but they can be indecisive and timid. These personality types might sound like just pop culture, but really they're not. They're actually something that's been around anciently, since the days of Egypt and Mesopotamia and Greece. Hippocrates, a Greek philosopher and physician, identified 4 types that are very similar to those in the color code. In fact, the descriptions in many cases are almost identical. These are just the 4 types in Hippocrates' theory. On the left, we have the cholerics, then the sanguines, then the melancholics, and the phlegmatics. Carl Jung and Alfred Adler, some famous psychotherapists, actually based their theories on these 4 temperaments. Each of us has strengths and weaknesses, and the question really becomes, how do we address those weaknesses and adopt the positives of the other types? We can study the strengths of each of the personality types and identify underlying core virtues within them. Here are some examples of virtues that are correlated with these 4 personality types that you see in Hippocrates and the color code. Reds are strong-willed, determined, and goal-oriented, and they possess strongly the virtue of hope. Yellows, or sanguines, are friendly, social, and outgoing, and they possess strongly the virtue of love. Blues are introspective, thoughtful, and conscientious, and they possess strongly the virtue of faith. Whites are gentle, submissive, and long-suffering, and they possess strongly the virtue of patience. Benjamin Franklin actually developed a model for personal growth for himself. In his early years, he decided that there was a lot to change about his personality. Those of you who are familiar with Benjamin Franklin might understand what he means by that. He analyzed his own personality, saw some of the weaknesses, and even developed a list of 13 virtues he felt would really improve him and make him into a better man. This is something each of us can do in our lives. A great method for change is to identify your personality type and monitor yourselves on a daily basis. Notice when you're feeling stressed or depressed or anxious, and try to notice the weaknesses that might have led to that feeling, and try to replace that weakness with the virtue of one of your opposite personality types. How many of you have ever met someone that you just can't understand, that just frustrates you, and you just don't get? Anyone ever met someone like that? Yeah, I bet all of us have. Yeah, very common. This is something we all deal with, and what we can do is we can try to understand what that person's personality type is, and then once we understand that, we can start to notice some of the positive traits that person has, and then we can try to emulate or kind of copy those positive traits in ourselves. Once we start to appreciate the good things about other people, we may even realize that we have a lot of opportunity to learn and grow from that person. This is something that can go beyond just our personal growth into our friends and family, and into team building and other types of relationships, such as in the workplace or in the military, sports, education. In the Color Code, they call this process becoming charactered, involving overcoming our weaknesses and adopting the strengths of the other people's types. I invite you all to take either the 4 temperaments test or the Color Code and identify the types or colors that are strongest in you and the ones that are the weakest in you. You can study your strengths and weaknesses and to try to adopt the strengths of the other personality types. Do some analysis and see how the other colors may contain powerful and life-changing virtues. Who we are now is a milestone on the road to who we can become. Don't just be yourself, build yourself. We can become so much more than we are. Thank you.